Welcome to From the Den podcast, providing Bears and NFL fans alike with compelling news, discussion, and debate. I'm your co-host Benjamin, joined alongside my dear friend and co-host Oren.
Hey Benjamin, let's get right into it. As always, kickoff starts now.
What game summarizes the 2019 season? So really, while the Redskins and Cowboys games were kind of outliers, which game do you think really encapsulates all their struggles and all the disappointments that happened last year?
Well, I would have to say the Eagles. You go look back, the Bears just lost at home to the Chargers on a game-winning field goal, which is the Chargers were not a great team. The week before, they got crushed by the Saints. It may have been 25-20, it was 35-25. But either way, whatever it was, it doesnned really matter because they came off those two losses and they needed to win this game.
36-25, close.
36-25. And they needed to win this game. And it felt like when they came into this game, they were terrible. Their offense in the first half had 9 yards. I think you have to try to not gain yards.
Yeah,
to gain only 9 yards.
That was brutal.
Their first down was at the end of the first half. And the score was 12-0. The season is that the Bears offense couldn't do anything. Really couldn't do anything. But the halftime score is 12-0. Because the Bears defense may not have been dominant, but the Bears defense still kept them in games, like the season.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, the Eagles came out and scored a touchdown. It was 19-0. And then the Bears started to go on a roll. They started to do pretty well. They scored one touchdown with Montgomery, scored two touchdowns with Montgomery. But it wasn't like the Bears were doing amazing. It felt like a bit of luck. It felt like a bit of everything going their way, which is it felt very, very, very unlikely that the Bears were going to win because of how bad they played the whole game. They didn't deserve to win. It felt like the Bears season, like what you said earlier, the Bears didn't deserve to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like the Bears playoff push at the end, but they didn't deserve to make it. And what ended up happening is that the Bears defense needed one stop, just one stop out of the Eagles, and they couldn't get it. And I'm not saying that the Bears defense was bad necessarily, but I'm saying is that the Bears needed that one stop, that one good game against Rodgers, that one really dominant game against Rodgers. Because the offense was not great. I'm not going to argue that the offense was great, but the offense didn't have one of their worst games. The offense scored 14 points.
Yeah, it's sad when 14 points isn't
a bad game.
Isn't terrible. It's
but I'm saying is that the defense didn't perform to their potential,
to their best, to what they're expected. Also 22 points isn't. It's holding someone at 22.
But the Bears, Rodgers only had 10 points in Soldier Field at the first week.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want to talk about most depressing, I'd say that maybe Eagles are second to the Packers game, just with the added, whatever. I think for obvious reasons, the Packers game. But if I want to talk about what games truly summarize the 2019 season the most, it is the Saints game. Because from an outsider perspective, if you look at the Bears season, or if you just look at the Bears record, 8-8, isn't great, but it's really not. No one's gonna look at and say, "Oh, the Bears went 8-8. They were terrible that year." It's just, it's literally average. It's what it is. It's 8-8. I think that goes the same for the Saints game. They lost by 11. It was 36-25, as we previously mentioned. If you look at that game from the outside, wow, the Bears kind of lost, but you don't think, wow, they got crushed. But the same for both the season and the Saints game. If you look closer and examine what happened in both scenarios, it was falling apart in the seams in both instances. For example,
I agree with what you're saying, that it was falling apart at the seams. But what I would say is that really what I feel like that's not the game that summarizes it, because the Bears, they've had a bad season.
Well, okay. What I'm talking about is they were down by 20 something, and they scored a bunch of these dumb trash time points, a few trash time touchdowns, and got some dumb onside kicks. They didn't deserve to win that game. That's what I was saying before about deserving to win. the Bears kind of came close to winning the Saints game with that whole onside kick thing. But they didn't deserve to win that game. Just like the Bears' entire season, they didn't deserve to win the playoffs because there was just a general lack of discipline.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that if you look at this specific game, you look at the Bears were down by, I would say at one point they were down by, I know, at least 15, maybe 20. It was a complete demolition. And the Bears team, I'm not going to say it was great.
I'm not crediting the Bears at all for what they did in the fourth quarter. I don't care. It was trash time.
Yeah. No, I'm saying the Bears lost by 20. They didn't lose by 11.
Yeah, exactly.
25. What I'm saying is that, did the Bears lose the season by 25? Because the Bears, let's say, even if the Bears' expectations were necessarily 10-6, 11-5, I'm not sure that 25 is getting demolished.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That basically ties into what I'm saying. That from an outside perspective, 8-8 isn't losing, isn't being crushed, isn't terrible.
Yeah.
But in my eyes, and in my from watching all the Bears games and knowing what they could have been, and just seeing how sloppily they performed, even when they won, it just felt so. I just felt like it was falling apart at the seams, like I was saying. So even though 8-8 isn't that bad of a number alone, truly I think the Bears performed worse than their record showed.
I agree that they performed worse than their record, but I think what you're saying is how many teams lose by 25 points a week? When you think about it, maybe one at most. So the point is that 25 points is a lot. So the point is, what I'm trying to make is that you have to do so much worse than your expectations. And I get it. The Bears had good expectations of being in the playoffs, of maybe even making a run. But 8-8, I agree that it wasn't an 8-8 season. It didn't feel like it. It might have felt like a 6-10 season.
If any, it was basically 7-9 season because the Bears played the Vikings. The Bears beat the Vikings backups on a chip shot field goal. That's kind of depressing.
No, you're right. I agree that it's depressing, but also it's an unmotivated Bears versus a motivated second-string Vikings.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Whatever. That's my bottom line. Right. We're going around in circles. It's fine.
If you enjoyed this episode of From the Den, please remember to subscribe, comment, and like this video.
Or, if you're a Packers fan, remember to dislike and leave a nasty comment. Click the links on the screen to access additional content.